Discover the incredible life-changing journey of John DeLorean. Revealed secrets of the DMC-12. In the heart of Detroit, where steel met sweat, John DeLorean dreamed big beneath the gray skies. A 35-year-old automotive engineer, he was bursting with ideas. He envisioned the DMC-12, a sports car that could do more than just get from point A to B. This was his ticket out of the grinding life his father lived as a factory worker. Every day, his old man clocked in long hours, pouring out his soul for the promise of a better tomorrow. John absorbed that work ethic, believing with all his heart that hard work could elevate not just him, but his entire family. But as he embarked on this revolutionary journey, the world around him wasn't quite ready to embrace his ambitious vision. This was no ordinary car, and John was no ordinary man. He was a dreamer chasing the elusive American dream. But skepticism loomed like storm clouds. Those around him, even his co-workers, rolled their eyes at what they deemed foolhardy aspirations. Just another idealist, they whispered in hushed tones while his father, filled with stubborn love, worried his son aimed too high, risking what little they built together. Johnny. His father's voice trembled, riddled with doubt during a tense dinner. You're risking everything. The weight of those words sank in. John could feel the pride and fear battling within the four walls of their simple home. He longed to leave the unchanging cycle behind. He didn't want to become stagnant. So, he pressed on, undeterred, believing that this car, this dream, could indeed change everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But then a rival company struck a devastating blow. They launched a smear campaign, taunting John's dreams and casting shadows over his ambition. Overreaching, the articles shouted. Dishonest. His name became a slur rather than a symbol of hope. The fallout cut deep. John felt the sting of betrayal in his bones. As his father furrowed his brow, uncertain whether John was just chasing glory at their family's expense, the chasm between them widened. The pressure mounted like a weight too heavy to bear. The whispers and judgments of others echoed in John's ears. Yet, just when he thought hope was slipping through his fingers, it found him again unexpected support from friends, a community that believed in his dream. Their faith revived a flicker of determination in John, reminding him why he started this journey. At the edge of despair, something beautiful began to happen. He started reconnecting with his father, mending the rifts as they unfolded the layers of loyalty and expectation. The struggles had become a bridge instead of a barrier. Yet deep within, John realized the toughest challenge wasn't just claiming success. It was reclaiming his family's pride while daring to truly be himself. As the future of the DMC-12 dangled in the balance, John stood at a moment of reckoning. How far was he willing to go for his dream? How could he balance ambition with loyalty? The questions loomed, and with each passing day, pressure grew. John felt like he was driving towards a fate he couldn't control. Would he crash or could he soar? The road ahead beckoned, full of promise and peril. The struggle for his dream was only just beginning. Days turned into weeks, and the weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air. John found himself pacing in his modest home, the walls seeming to close in, suffocating his spirit. The echoes of his father's cautious words haunted him. Was he really jeopardizing everything they had worked for? He tried to push through, to see the light at the end of this daunting tunnel, but the shadows of doubt were relentless. Then one chilly evening, something unexpected happened. John received a phone call that would alter the course of his journey. It was a former colleague, someone who had seen his brilliance at General Motors. Johnny, the voice crackled on the line, excitement bubbling through. I caught wind of your project. It's revolutionary. I want in. Just like that, a glimmer of hope emerged. His friend, with connections and resources, could help elevate his vision. The two met in a dimly lit diner, the aroma of coffee and grease hanging in the air a familiar comfort for John. As they talked, his friend's enthusiasm ignited a fire within him. They tossed around ideas, and suddenly the once-distant DMC-12 felt tangible. With renewed determination, John pored over every aspect of his design, ironing out the kinks and imagining how this vehicle would defy conventions. But just as he was riding this wave of momentum, another wave of reality crashed over him. The financial turmoil loomed like a dark cloud. Investors were hesitant, skeptical about a car that was too advanced, too ambitious. "You need a prototype, Johnny," his friend said, concern etched on his face. "Something they can see, feel. That S when they believe." That night, as John lay in bed, adrenaline coursing through him, he made a decision. If they wanted a prototype, he'd give them one, no matter the cost. He gathered every penny he could scrape together, sold what he could, and even considered taking a second mortgage on the family home. The risk nagged at him, but this felt like a gamble worth making. Days turned into sleepless nights as John and his friend worked tirelessly. They transformed a small garage into a makeshift assembly plant, the sound of metal clanking and tools rattling becoming a symphony of creation. He poured not just his effort into the car, but his heart and soul. Each curve and bend was a representation of his ambition, his desire to lift his family above their struggles. Yet, beneath the surface of creation, the pressure began to mount once more. The whispers of doubt echoed again, louder and more ferocious. What if he failed? What would his father think? Would the family lose everything because he chased a dream? He felt his resolve wavering as sleepless nights turned to days when his eyes drooped with exhaustion and moments of despair. When shadows threatened to swallow him whole, the support from the small community began to manifest in unexpected ways. Neighbors volunteered their time, friends brought snacks and soda, and their enthusiasm breathed life into John, reminding him why he started this journey in the first place. Each moment spent building the prototype brought them closer, and John began to see their effort as a reflection of hope. And as the day of the unveiling approached, a quiet resolve formed within him. This was more than just a car. It was a second chance for his family, a way to smash through the barriers that held him captive. With every passing moment, John felt the stakes raise higher. The dream was no longer solely his. It had become a shared aspiration and embodiment of their collective fight against doubt. But in the distance, dark clouds still brewed. The rival company hadn't given up. They were circling like vultures, intent on tearing down everything John was building. As the tension mounted, John found himself at a crossroads. Would he let fear dictate his choice, or would he dare to chase down the dream and face whatever darkness awaited him? The hour for revelation was at hand. Would they believe in his dream, or would it all come crashing down around him? The morning sun peeked through the garage windows, casting a soft glow on the metal frame of the nearly completed DMC-12. John stood back, wiping sweat from his brow. Days of labor had sculpted the car from mere sketches into a breathing, roaring machine. Yet, as excitement bubbled within him, a knot of anxiety twisted in his gut. Time was running out. He glanced at his watch. In just hours, he would present the prototype to a small group of investors. Their funding was critical. His heart pounded as he thought about their skeptical faces. He had to convince them that his dream was worth the risk. The garage was filled with the scent of oil and fresh paint, but the air grew thick with tension. His friend, Mark, leaned against the workbench, eyebrows furrowed in concentration. "You ready for this?" he called, breaking the silence. John nodded, though doubt lingered in the back of his mind, whispering uncertainties like a devil on his shoulder. "Yeah, as ready as I'll ever be. Just remember," Mark said, clapping him on the back, "you've put your heart into this. They'll see that." As the hours crept closer to unveil time, the tiny garage buzzed with nervous energy. They had prepared for every scenario, but John couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom pressing against his chest. This was his moment to shine, but it also felt like he was teetering on the edge of a precipice. With an hour to go, the garage door rolled up, revealing a handful of familiar faces from the neighborhood. "We heard you need a little more help," a neighbor called, carrying a batch of sandwiches and drinks. It was a small gesture, but it filled John with warmth. This community had seen him stumble and rise, and here they were, rallying behind him. "Thanks, everyone. It means the world to me," he replied, trying to fend off the swirling storm of doubt. As the guests began to congregate outside, John took a deep breath and approached the DMC-12. He didn't want it just to be a car. It was a symbol of tenacity, innovation, and the spirit of those who believed in him. His fingers grazed the sleek lines of the vehicle, a reminder of all the sacrifices made, the sleepless nights, the risk, and the countless what-ifs. The crowd started to murmur, eyes wide as they caught their first glimpse of the prototype. Enthusiasm crackled in the air. John felt a surge of confidence swell within him. They were invested. His friends, family, and neighbors were there to witness this dream come alive. Then it hit him. He needed to share not just the features of the car, but the passion behind it, the story woven into every curve. "Ladies and gentlemen," he called, stepping forward. The crowd quieted, attention fixed on him. "This isn't just a vehicle. It's our fight against every doubt, every limitation placed by the world around us. It's the hope of our community, a dream built from hard work and belief." As he spoke, he saw the light in their eyes. They nodded, whispers of encouragement weaving through the crowd. But just as John was building momentum in his speech, he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. A black sedan was parked at the curb, two men in crisp suits watching intently. The rival company? His heart sank. Their interest could mean trouble. Would they try to sabotage his moment? Determined to stay focused, John pressed on, unveiling the features and capabilities of the DMC-12 while stealing glances at the men. What were they planning? Fear bubbled beneath his bravado, almost choking him. The applause and cheers seemed like an echo, muffled by the ominous presence lurking just outside. Suddenly, an all-too-familiar voice broke through the celebration. "Sorry to interrupt, Johnny." It was Tom, the CEO of the rival company, smug and certain he could steal the spotlight. "Do you really think this is going to change anything? You're just wasting your time." The laughter of the crowd faltered, uncertainty creeping back in. John felt his heart race as he stood in the spotlight, faced with a choice. Would he let Tom's words defeat him, or rise above the confrontation? This was it, his moment. All eyes were on him, including the two men in suits, both expected and unexpected adversaries on a day meant for celebration. "Tonight you'll see just how wrong you are," he shouted back, voice steady. As he finished, he felt the weight of their gazes. Would they believe in his dream after all? Or would Tom's intimidation prove to be too powerful? The stakes couldn't be higher. It was either flight or fight. Would John relent or stand tall against the shadows looming overhead? The air crackled with tension, and for a heartbeat, silence blanketed the crowd. John could feel Tom's piercing gaze cutting through the camaraderie that had been building. It was a showdown, and two worlds collided right there in the garage, the hope of a dreamer versus the cynicism of a corporate titan. He swallowed hard, willing himself to stand firm. "You're wasting your time, Johnny." Tom's voice dripped with condescension, but John held his ground. The cool metal of the car felt reassuring beneath his touch, a tangible reminder of why he was here. "Let us face it. You think you can beat a well-oiled machine like us?" Through gritted teeth, John answered, "I know I can. This is about passion, innovation, and a future that is not defined by fear." The crowd buzzed with murmurs, slowly finding their voices again. A few people shouted their support, and John caught glimpses of nods and encouraged smiles. "My community," he thought, his heart swelling momentarily. "Let us not forget who we are, Tom. This isn't about competition. It's about creating something that goes beyond just profits. It's about dreams." He paused, scanning the faces surrounding him, his community behind him. "It's about all of us who want something better." The transformation in the crowd was palpable. Eyes sparkled with renewed determination. They had all invested in this endeavor, not just money, but faith in a better future. John could feel the weight in his chest lift, replaced with something electric, Tom's facade of superiority faltered for just a moment, and John seized that crack. You might have the corporate power, but we have the spirit and drive to turn this dream into a reality. You're looking at the future. Felt like a gamble, but maybe that's what it took. To play not just with the cards he was dealt, but to play for something greater than himself. As the applause began to swell, a fierce determination burned within him. One of the suited men in the audience leaned over to his companion, whispering loud enough for John to hear, "Did you see that? He's got something there." With every clap, every shout of encouragement, John found his courage. It was more than just a prototype. It was a revolution. I promise you, the DMC-12 will redefine what we think of as the automobile. It's not just metal on wheels. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we believe together. And just like that, the momentum shifted. John spoke passionately, weaving a narrative of hope and perseverance. His words transformed doubts into aspirations, each sentence bringing his vision closer to the light. As he wrapped up his speech, the crowd erupted into cheers, a wave of support that swept through him like pure adrenaline. He felt alive not just as an engineer, but as a leader of something greater. But just as John started basking in the warmth of their reaction, he felt a shift in the atmosphere. The two men in suits exchanged glances, and John caught sight of a hidden smirk curling Thomas' lips. Something about it sent a shiver down his spine. Was this celebration just the beginning? A flurry of thoughts raced through his mind. Tom wouldn't take defeat lying down. This wasn't over. As the applause faded into eager chatter, the undercurrent of anxiety returned. Was Tom plotting something behind that smug exterior? Or was it merely a facade meant to distract him? The DMC-12 may have captured everyone's imagination, but the battle was just starting. This moment was just the spark of a much larger fire. What would happen when the dust settled? With a deep breath, John turned to Mark, who stood wide-eyed beside him. We have a lot to do, and I can't shake the feeling that this is far from finished. Mark nodded solemnly. You think he'll retaliate? John's gaze drifted back to Tom, now chatting casually with his partners, eyes still glinting with mischief. I'm more than ready for whatever comes next. If this is the fight, we'll make it worth every second. In the space of a moment, he realized that he wasn't just fighting for his dream anymore. He was fighting for the whole community, for everyone who believed in him. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, John took a stand, determined not to back down. But what tricks did Tom have up his sleeve? And could John withstand the storm that was surely coming? The next morning, the sun pierced through John's window, casting a warm glow onto the cluttered space that transformed into a makeshift workspace. He rolled out of bed, rubbing the sleep from his eyes as he replayed yesterday's events over and over in his mind. Each time the memory of Tom's smug smile surfaced, a fresh wave of determination washed over him. It was almost as if a heavy anchor had been lifted. He was ready to set sail. As he sipped his coffee, John thought about the DMC-12 and how close they were to something remarkable. This car wasn't just a vehicle. It symbolized change, innovation, and hope. He felt a smile spread across his face as he thought about the crowd's reaction. Alive with enthusiasm, they had been ready to fight right alongside him. But that was just the first step. Okay, Mark, what's on the agenda? We can't let this momentum die, John said, meeting Mark in the garage, where scraps of metal and tools were sprawled around like a chaotic masterpiece waiting to be assembled. Mark glanced at the whiteboard filled with to-do lists and deadlines, the enthusiasm in John's voice echoing in the air. We need to hit the ground running. Focus on refining the prototype. I've been reaching out to a few engineers who might be interested in joining our cause. John's heart leaped. Each name he heard bolstered his confidence and reinforced the network of supporters who believed in their vision. Let us get them on board. We need their expertise. The more hands we have, the sharper we'll be against Tom and his crew. They eagerly discussed design changes and materials, ideas bouncing back and forth like a lively conversation. Each suggestion felt like driving closer to their goal. They pored over sketches, passion igniting their voices when they spoke about possibilities that lay ahead. But even amid the excitement, The shadow of Tom loomed large in the back of John's mind. Just as he felt light years ahead, doubt would creep in whispers of what could go wrong with the corporate giant breathing down their necks. "John," Mark began hesitantly, interrupting his thoughts. "Are we really ready for what Tom might throw our way?" He looked at his friend, and in that moment, he knew this was not just a battle of engineering. It was a battle of spirit. "We've got an army behind us. Those people are counting on us, and I won't let them down. We have to believe in ourselves in this project." They continued forging ahead, sketching the future that felt bright and limitless. But John's instinct told him Tom wouldn't just fade into the background. The world of corporate warfare was ruthless, and victory often came with hidden costs. Suddenly, the sound of a car engine roared outside, echoing through the garage. John and Mark halted mid-discussion, glancing outside. Through the glass, they saw a sleek, black luxury car parked directly in front of the building. Time seemed to slow as John tried to shake off an unsettling feeling. Then came the slow, deliberate footsteps toward the entrance. John straightened, heart quickening as Tom stepped into view, his expression slick with confidence. "Good morning, gentlemen," he called out, his voice oozing with charm, but John could sense a jagged edge beneath the surface. "I thought we could have a little chat." John's gut churned. What was Tom planning? He stepped forward, resolute. "We're busy, Tom. We have work to do." Tom chuckled, the amusement only sharpening his edge. "Oh, I think you'll want to hear what I have to say first." The tension hung heavy in the air, and with every word exchanged, it felt like the battlefield was being drawn anew. John knew they wouldn't give in easily, but as Tom's shadow stretched across the garage, he felt the weight of what was to come. Which sides would be drawn in this escalating war? Would they rise together, or would their dreams be crushed beneath the weight of corporate greed? Tom stepped further into the garage, his shoes clicking against the concrete floor. Each sound seemed to echo louder, amplifying the tension that hung in the air like a thick fog. John locked eyes with him, refusing to back down. "What do you want, Tom?" He crossed his arms, grounding himself against whatever ploy Tom was about to unveil. "I just came to extend a proposition," Tom said, feigning friendliness as he leaned back slightly with a smug smile. "It's clear to me that you two have a lot of heart. But heart doesn't build cars. Money does," he continued, each word laced with condescension. "You know what they say, time is money. You'll need a lot of it to compete with a company like mine." The word money hung in the air, weighty and suffocating. Mark shifted uncomfortably, glancing between John and Tom. "We don't need your handouts," he said defiantly. But his voice wavered slightly, revealing a crack in their armor. "Oh, but that's where you're wrong," Tom replied, his grin broadening. He lifted an elegant hand, gesturing to the outside where a group of businessmen stood watching, waiting. "I have investors who would be more than happy to back you up. Imagine it. A thriving business, a successful prototype, an open road ahead. All you have to do is compromise." John cut him off, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. "Compromise our vision, our values. I won't let that happen." Tom leaned in, lowering his voice almost conspiratorially. "It's not about compromise, John, it's about survival. You know this project isn't just about a car. You're up against my entire empire. You want to win hearts? You need a backing that can compete with a name like mine." Inside, John felt a fire igniting. He glanced at Mark, who looked torn, caught between ambition and their core mission. "Are you really willing to risk everything? For what?" Tom pressed, sensing their hesitation. "Your dream? Or a shot at success?" "Stop!" Mark suddenly shouted, his voice breaking. "This isn't just business. It's our passion." Tom scoffed. "Passion doesn't pay the bills, boys. The clock is ticking. You have one path ahead, or you can let go of your little dreams and walk away with a hefty check." As Tom turned to leave, John's chest tightened. For a moment, he felt the weight of countless hopes pressing down on him, a community that believed, a vision that sparked. He couldn't let it slip away. "This isn't over, Tom," he said, determination ringing loud in his voice. Tom paused, glancing back with a smirk. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it. But remember, John, this game gets ugly, and I play to win. With that, he strode toward the exit, leaving the shadows of doubt lingering in John's mind. The garage felt smaller, the flickering lights casting long silhouettes across the walls. Mark turned to John, his brow furrowed. What do we do now? Are we really going to fight him? John inhaled sharply, searching for the right words. We keep going. He is scared of what we can do. We can't let fear smother hope. We rally the team, and we build something that makes a difference no matter how hard it gets. A flicker of inspiration sparked in Mark's eyes. Let us hit the phones. We need those engineers on board, and we'll show Tom whose team is truly ready to change the world. As they dove back into their plans, a renewed sense of purpose enveloped the garage. But deep down, John couldn't shake the heavy sense of impending confrontation. What was Tom really willing to do to thwart them? Before John could dive too deep, another engine roar broke his concentration. Another car. Another figure stepped out from behind the sleek vehicle. This one looked familiar, but he couldn't quite place the face. Looking at Mark, John felt a chill in the air. I have a feeling things are about to get more complicated. And with that thought swirling around in his mind, they were left wondering. Who else was out there waiting to join the fray? The engine's growl faded, leaving an unsettling silence as John squinted, trying to make out the figure emerging from the shimmering paint of the car. The sunlight caught the frame awkwardly, but as the shadow stepped into the light, recognition washed over him. It was Lisa, an old college friend, someone who once shared the same dreams and the same late-night brainstorming sessions over cups of coffee and sketches of wild ideas. Lisa, John managed, disbelief threading through his voice. She smiled, the kind of smile that held both warmth and uncertainty. I didn't expect to see you here. Yeah, she said, brushing a hand through her hair. I heard about the project and thought I'd drop by. I really want to know what you two are up to. Mark, sensing the palpable tension, stepped closer. We're in the middle of something meaningful. Are you here to help us or to tell us not to dream too big? Definitely to help, she assured, glancing back at the sleek car that had brought her. I've been following what you're doing since it started. I want to be part of this. I know about the challenges and I might just have an idea to help. A surge of hope flickered in John's chest. What kind of idea? Lisa hesitated, her expression growing serious. Funding. I'm involved with some investors who are interested in innovative transportation solutions. They want to support groundbreaking projects. As she spoke, thoughts raced through John's mind, but he couldn't shake the feeling that being associated with investors felt too much like Tom's offer. What's the catch? I get it, but this isn't about the money. It's about creating something that changes lives. I know how passionate you are about it, and I believe in your vision. For a moment, John's heart ached with the weight of old dreams. You know what's at stake, right? Tom is already breathing down our necks. We're trying to carve our own path, not just follow someone else's. Lisa nodded, her eyes glistening with understanding. And I believe your path is worth fighting for. Maybe I can help you make it happen without compromising. Mark exchanged a glance with John, the spark of collaboration igniting once more. We could do some brainstorming. Get your investors in touch with us. Maybe we can work something out. As the weight of Tom's threats began to lift, a sense of unity started forming in the air. John felt alive again, visions of a dream flickering to life. We'll use every bit of ingenuity and determination to make this work. But just as excitement bubbled between them, the faint sound of another revving engine caught their attention. The garage door swung open, and in walked a figure whose confidence caught all three of them off guard. It was Ethan, known for his explosive ideas and deep pockets in the car industry. What's this? A collaboration in the making? Ethan said with a raised eyebrow, looking between the three of them. The air shifted, thickening with tension once more. Ethan's presence loomed large, and John felt the flutter of apprehension return. Would he be yet another hurdle to leap over? Or could he be the ally they desperately needed? Just what we needed, John said, forcing a smile while his mind raced. Another layer of complexity. The reality of the situation crashed over him like a wave. In this world of innovation and ambition, every ally could also be a rival. As decisions loomed closer, John felt the pulsing urgency of the moment. Could they find their way through this tangled web of competition and collaboration? He glanced at Lisa and Mark, their uncertainty mirroring his own. What was the next move, and would they gather the resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead? "Let us find out what Ethan has in mind," John said, suppressing his apprehension. After all, in the world of dreams, it was the unpredictable turns that often led to unimaginable outcomes. And in a matter of seconds, the ground beneath them shifted again. What did this new encounter hold for their journey? The air was thick with anticipation, and John knew that the path ahead was anything but straightforward. Ethan sauntered closer, his smooth demeanor disarming yet deceptively calculated. The way he surveyed Lisa and Mark felt like an evaluation, the kind of inspection that could either lead to partnership or danger. "I'm always interested in innovation," he said, his voice smooth like the paint on his cars, "and I've heard a thing or two about what you guys are building." John clenched his fists, straining to maintain a calm exterior. Ethan wasn't just a player, he was a game changer. "We're focused on our project," John replied, trying to keep his tone steady. "But you could say we're open to ideas." "Good," Ethan said, leaning against a workbench with an ease that made John's skin crawl. "I have this vision of an electric future, and your concept, well, it could fit perfectly. But I'm afraid if you aren't careful, it might get overshadowed by much bigger wheels." The insinuation chilled John. "Bigger wheels?" Ethan shrugged, an almost playful smirk dancing on his lips. "You're going to need proper funding and resources if you want to take this to the next level. Investors who back ambitious projects tend to frown on little upstarts like yours that don't have the right connections." Lisa's gaze shifted between Ethan and John, her expression a mix of curiosity and caution. "We aren't looking to be anyone's stepping stone," she said firmly. "Our vision is authentic and we want to allow it to flourish in its own right." "Of course," Ethan replied, his laughter light but condescending. "But history has shown us that collaboration is essential in the arena of innovation. Don't you want to avoid being crushed by those who have already made it?" Mark shifted uneasily, his fingers running through his hair. "You really think we need outside control to succeed?" Ethan's eyes gleamed with ambition. "I don't think it. I know it. And with the right guidance, your project could be the next breakthrough in transportation." John was torn. The seductive pull of support loomed over him, contrasting sharply with the down-to-earth dreams he shared with Lisa and Mark. Suddenly, he felt trapped between two worlds: the authenticity they envisioned and the pragmatic reality of the automotive industry. This battle was growing too complex. "Revolutionary ideas need backing," Ethan added, tilting his head. "Give me the chance to show you what I can do, and I promise you'll be the one driving forward instead of taking the back roads." John glanced at Lisa and Mark. He saw the speculative flicker in their eyes, the possible allure of what Ethan was proposing battling against the simple joy of ground-up creation. "We appreciate your interest, but we're not ready to make any decisions yet," John said finally, steeling himself. Ethan raised an eyebrow, not at all fazed. "You have a week to think it over. I'll be around." With a final, confident grin, he stepped back into the shadows of the garage, the door closing with a resonating thud. The silence that followed felt heavy, almost suffocating. John exhaled, tension draining away but replaced by a newfound sense of urgency. "We need to decide what we want," he said, realness slicing through the atmosphere. "But what do we want?" Lisa asked softly, her eyes searching their faces for clarity. "Do we want to play the game or change it?" Mark looked between them, a storm of emotions on his face. "There's no right answer, is there?" "Maybe not," John said, his voice firm. "But we have to carve our own way and stay true to what we believe in." In that moment, John felt the weight of their dreams pressing in, a potent mix of fervor and fear. Choices loomed like dark clouds overhead. As they stood together, he grasped the enormity of the challenge ahead. Would their determination withstand the lure of the established paths? Or were they destined to be just another dream that flickered out under pressure? Let us not let fear dictate our future, John urged, locking eyes with his companions. Our dreams are worth the fight, but could they really stand against the tide? As they each wrestled with their thoughts, John realized the journey was just beginning. What revelations awaited them around the corner? The fluorescent lights in the garage hummed softly as John, Lisa, and Mark stood in a huddle, the air thick with uncertainty. Shadows loomed in the corners, and outside, the evening chill crept in through the cracks. They had just glimpsed the fine line that separated dreams from harsh realities, and an unspoken tension simmered between them. Maybe we should think about it, at least, Mark suggested, running a hand across his forehead. His voice tinged with both hope and apprehension. Ethan has connections. If he believes in us, but at what cost? Lisa shot back, her eyes narrowing. You know he's not going to give us anything for free. It'll be our ideas, our innovations, but will be under his thumb. Do we really want that? John nodded, feeling the weight of their shared vision pushing against the constraints Ethan had presented. He's right about one thing: we need funding if we want to bring our project to life. But we need to do it on our terms, not his. Silence enveloped them again as they contemplated the gravity of their aspirations. Lisa stepped away from the group, pacing. Every time I think about the future we could create, it fills me with so much excitement. But I'm scared of losing that excitement if we play by someone else's rules. Isn't that the nature of business? Mark chimed in. We can find a way to stay true to what we want. Maybe there's a way to negotiate. We take his offer but lay down clear boundaries. John rubbed the back of his neck. The more they talked, the more he could feel a fire kindling in their hearts. If we choose to take his offer, we have to stay strong, stick together, make sure we don't lose sight of our principles. Lisa turned, her expression resolute. Then let us document every aspect of what we want to create. Every value. We'll draft a vision statement that Ethan can't twist or manipulate. Yeah, Mark replied, a smile breaking through his worry. If we do this right, we can steer the ship. We don't lose ourselves. We use this as an opportunity to launch. As they put their heads together, brainstorming ideas and strategies, the palpable energy in the room began to shift. They were no longer simply reacting to what Ethan had said. They were taking ownership of their fate. The sound of pencils scratching against paper filled the air as they mapped out their desires. But as John wrote down their goals, doubts crept into his mind. What if Ethan was right? What if they needed more than just belief to succeed? The evening wore on, and shadows deepened around them. With sheer determination coursing through them, they found solace in one another's solidarity, igniting a light in the darkest corners of their fears. Late into the night, they locked their plan. As John took a deep breath, a spark of confidence ignited somewhere deep within him. Perhaps they could stand against the tide after all. Just then, John's phone buzzed on the workbench, one new notification. He glanced down to see that Ethan had sent a text. Excited to hear your thoughts. Don't keep me waiting too long. A tight ball of nerves settled in John's stomach as he exchanged looks with Lisa and Mark. This was it. They were on the brink of something big. But would their newfound motivation withstand the pressure? They'd have to decide soon. Let us get some rest, John suggested, feeling the mental strain of the day. Tomorrow we face Ethan with our plan. And no matter what happens, we hold on to our vision. They gathered their things, but John's heart raced. The realization hit him hard. They weren't just battling for their dreams. They were stepping into a game where the rules were constantly changing. What echoes of ambition and conflict awaited them as they prepared for the next day? The sun shone brightly the following morning, casting a warm glow over the bustling city of Detroit. John woke up with a mix of excitement and nerves fluttering in his chest. Today was the day they would present their plan to Ethan. It was a chance to take their future into their own hands. But the stakes felt higher than ever as he arrived at the garage. The energy from the night before still lingered in the air. Lisa and Mark were already there, poring over the papers they had drafted together. The vision statement was bold and clear, a declaration of their values and aspirations. An anchor for their dreams amidst the storm threatening to engulf them. Ready to show Ethan what we're made of? Mark asked, his voice a blend of eagerness and determination. John took a moment to breathe deeply. We're not just going to show him, we're going to own this meeting. Let us remind him who we are. With renewed vigor, they prepared for the encounter, rehearsing their points, reinforcing their unity. Each time they spoke, confidence bloomed, growing brighter, like the morning sun filling the garage space. When Ethan arrived, he walked in with the same confident air he always had, his presence almost overwhelming. "Good to see you," he greeted, his smile disarming yet calculating. "I hope you've given our conversation some thought." John met his gaze steadily, the fire within him igniting. "We outlined our vision for the DMC-12 and how we plan to maintain creative control while leveraging your network." Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued, yet his demeanor remained cool. "That's ambitious. But remember, this game is about maneuvering. Those who aren't flexible often get left in the dust." "We're willing to partner," Lisa interjected, her tone firm, "but we won't sacrifice our integrity or compromise our vision. Our aim is to innovate, not just to profit." Ethan's smile faltered for the briefest moment, but he quickly regained his composure. "So, an empowering statement. I admire that. But the industry doesn't care for sentiments. It's driven by results." Mark stepped forward. "We're going to achieve that with genuine passion and grassroots support. Just wait until you see the DMC-12. It'll redefine the automotive landscape." The slight tension between them mingled with the weight of expectation. With each exchanged word, a battle of wills unfolded, neither side willing to back down. Ethan leaned closer, attempting to turn the pressure up. "You understand that to make it big, substantial investment and influence come at a cost. The right connections make all the difference." John felt a surge of purpose wash over him, the fire inside roaring louder. "But we don't want to merely climb to the top. We want to create something that embodies our values and lifts up those around us, not just ourselves." With renewed spirit, they detailed their plans for community initiatives, how the DMC-12 was going to represent not just technical advancement, but a movement towards positivity and hope. The audience of one, the powerful businessman, was drawn in, no longer the hunter but somewhat intrigued by the praised vision. Ethan sat back, a flicker of respect passing across his face. "You're good. I can't deny that. But the stakes are high and I hold the keys to that door. You'll be backed by my network and resources, but I want a significant share in return." John chuckled lightly, letting the tension roll off, realizing this negotiation wasn't about shutting down each other's voices. "How about we flip that? We keep our vision intact while you ride the wave of progress and have a modest stake aligned with what we create together." The atmosphere shifted. Ethan's demeanor changed. The playful confidence he always bore gave way to seriousness. "That's a bold statement you're making, John. Would your community even resonate with that, you facing off their David against my Goliath?" With unyielding determination in his voice, John replied passionately, "It's not just about the strength of the giant. It's about the heart of the little guys coming together. Empowerment does not come without unity. The DMC-12 is more than a vehicle, it's a movement of hope." Silence filled the space for a moment, the weight of John's words hanging in the air. The tension shifted, building to a point that felt electric. It was an invitation, an opening for something more to happen. Ethan leaned in, newfound curiosity flickering in his eyes. "I'll consider your proposal, but remember, in our industry, leverage is everything." As they exchanged contact information, John felt a mixture of relief and hope washing over him. "Let us keep talking, Ethan. This is just the beginning. Together, we can achieve something monumental." As the meeting concluded, John, Lisa, and Mark stepped outside, breathing in the crisp air. They exchanged smiles, their collective hearts light but focused. "That went better than I imagined," Mark breathed, excitement flooding through him. "What's next?" Lisa asked, her eyes sparkling with ambition. "The DMC-12. We need to push forward, keep building to make it a reality. It's our time," John declared with a full heart. And as they returned to the garage, voices filled with laughter, plans, and dreams of infinite possibilities, John knew they were no longer merely hopeful dreamers. They were innovators, unyielding in their pursuit of something genuinely transformative. Together, they were ready to chase down their dreams, rallying their community as they faced the unknown path ahead. This was the moment they would rise, emerging strong, united, and determined to make history. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and ignite your dreams. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm and show us your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us celebrate together this incredible journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's make it happen.